Cloud9 is back, baby. Here we go. CSGO, we're back. Oh, everyone pumped? Here we go. Cloud9. What was it? 13 months. 13 months and we're back. I'll have to double check that. I don't care. I'm just going to say 13 months. If it's wrong, it's wrong. We're back. And not only are we back with a vengeance. Second best team in the world. I don't care what the HLTV rating is right now. It says 3. I don't care. Second best team in the world. Just us and Navi competing for championships all day long, every day. This is by far the best team we've had ever. I believe we were only... So we're ranked top 3 right now. I think the highest we ever got was 2 after we won the major. Oh, what a way to come back. So unexpected. I mean, I know there was like rumors. I guess it was unexpected for me because I refused to believe. There was all the rumors about it. People were talking about it. Like Sponge even talked about it. But I didn't want to believe. I wasn't gonna open my heart. I wasn't gonna open my heart and say, yeah, we're gonna buy Gambit, because we weren't gonna buy Gambit. But we did. So here we are. Second best team in the world, Cloud9, young team, ready to compete. We're in the major coming up. That means stickers. That means we all have something to watch. Oh, what an amazing morning. I'm sure everyone loved it being dropped at 3 a.m. and just waking up to beautiful news. Not the 10 a.m. time slot that they normally do. They like to drop it 30 seconds after I drop my content, so I delete my content and then release it the next day because no one cares because they're dropping something else. Wow. Back. I was getting nervous. I was thinking that we were going to have a team after the end of the major last year. We didn't. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe after this major, we'll be able to get a team, because their excuse was always kind of COVID and not being able to take care of the team. But we were seeing Liquid and Complexity and these other NA orgs, EG, all able to have teams. Lands were coming back, so I was thinking they were running out of excuses, but they hadn't said anything. So I was kind of curious when or if they were going to come back. Who knows? Well, who knew? Now we know that we're back. And you should be so excited. Everyone should be so excited. I've seen a little bit in Reddit, or not Reddit. Yes, Reddit. A little bit in Reddit, a little bit in Discord, a little bit on Twitter of people who either wanted an NA org or some other stuff that I don't really want to mention but I will say this. The people who want an NA org, I get it. It's fun to root for your own country. We had a lot of fun with the NA talent that we've had, with the old ATK roster, watching the young kids grow up, with Floppy, with Zeppa. It's really fun to root for these young kids and to root for growth and to see it happen. And that's just all so exciting. But we just traded for LeBron James. So let's go win some rings, because that's the kind of team that we have now. We don't have a team that, hey, let's see how they look in 2 years. Let's see if they can compete with Europe in a bit. They just need more practice, or they just need more lands. They need to stop scrimming NA and get more time in EU. No. We have the second best team in the world. We're competing, and the goal is rings, and that's it. Anything short of a ring is a failure. If we don't win the major, that's a failure. If we don't win a tournament, that's a failure. The expectation of this team is to be winning and continually winning. This isn't a, let's just see how the growth goes and how are they going to mesh together. And it's a new IGL with an up-and-comer, with an Opper who hasn't opted in a year, and all this stuff. And let's see how it goes. So, no, we have the complete team. We have the team who's been there. They've been together forever. And we need to be winning, and that's the goal. So this is a completely new chapter of Cloud9. And it's one that we all should be very excited about, because you're rooting for a top 2 team in the world. Like, that's amazing. Now, it does add expectations and it changes your fandom a little bit because with the ATK and stuff like that, the wins are so exciting. And it's so fun to watch a win because you're not really expecting to win. It's kind of like in basketball when the Warriors were first up and coming and like were having the 73 win seasons and stuff. It was like this young team that they drafted was coming up and they were all just starting to win and like the excitement is way up there. But then there's the seasons where after they won a championship and like a lot of the Lakers championships where you're expected to win. So every win feels like, phew, I didn't lose. But you also have one of the best teams in the world that you're competing with. So the expectations are different in that losing means much more now because you're expected to be winning versus, holy crap, we just took a map off Navi. Like, this young team is amazing. It's now, we only took one map off Navi. We lost. What do we need to do? Because we need to be figuring out how to beat Navi. So it's a whole different perspective, but it's also very exciting because what's the goal? The goal is to win majors, right? And for the last 2 rosters that we had, that was never a realistic expectation. We can say, hey, the goal is to have them grow to win a major, or the goal is to build enough talent and make one swap and maybe they can compete for a major. The rosters always felt like, let's make the major, and if they make it to something like the Legends stage, that would be an unbelievable overachievement, and that would be amazing. But now we're competing for majors. Cloud9 could have a run here. Now, there are other amazing teams right now. Like we said, Navi and G2 and FaZe and all these other teams. So there is a lot of competition at the top. And maybe this roster already had their huge run last year. But they're all so young. We have a bunch of time for a whole new run. And they're supported by Cloud9 now. They should be getting everything they want. Maybe they already were with Gambit. Who knows how this will change culturally with all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But we have a young team, a top team in the world. They can make another run. And now we can start watching demos and matches and saying, hey, maybe we could improve on this in time. And instead it's, this needs to be fixed, or look at how amazing this is that we're running. Now, I haven't watched a lot of Gambit. After Cloud9 got dropped, I was watching CSGO here and there, and when I would watch Gambit, it was in a very casual way, where when I have watched Cloud9, I watch the match, I rewatch the match, sometimes I watch POVs of the match again, and just kind of go over everything in a more detailed way to try and figure out what they're doing, what strats are they running, when did it go bad, etc. When watching these other matches, it's been very casually, just kind of enjoying the match and not trying to break down exactly what every team's doing, because that's not really my thing. My thing is Cloud9. I'm not like a Maui or Thorn or whoever who has an umbrella of the whole scene and they kind of need to know something about every team. So I just kind of enjoy watching the other teams while breaking down Cloud9 specifically. So in this podcast, I don't have a lot of things to talk about what the team's going to look like or what their strats are or what their maps are, all that kind of stuff. I want to just get an initial reaction out there, talk about what's out there, and then in the next podcast, I'll talk about more about the team specifically once I've actually looked at some videos, analyzed some gameplay, checked out the players, all that kind of stuff, because I have a lot of work to do to catch up. This isn't like the other rosters where they come out of obscurity and everyone starts page 1. Like the ATK roster, I felt very knowledgeable of. I probably watched more demos of the ATK and the Colossus roster than anyone. So I felt very knowledgeable of them. With this roster, I'm now very far behind. So I have a lot of catching up to do. So I don't want to make any comments right now on any of that kind of stuff because I want to make sure that I'm confident in everything and I want to watch a bunch of stuff and come back with something. Now, one thing that hasn't been talked about, I don't believe, is that there was talk of this team having visa issues for the major and other tournaments because they're Russian. I don't believe there has been any comment from Cloud9 or Jack or anything on if that's been resolved or what's happening with that. So I'm sure that's something that will come up. But my guess would be that Cloud9 wouldn't go buy this with all the question marks in the air up of is the team even going to play? With how bad the last few signings and everything has gone, if they signed a roster and then legitimately they were just stuck in Russia and not able to play, that would be another very bad look for Cloud9, and not one that I don't think they would risk, or not one that I think they would risk if they didn't know that this team was going to be able to play. So I feel pretty confident that they're going to be at the major and other tournaments, because I don't think the deal would have happened without that. I have no knowledge of that. We're going to have to see what people say on that regard, so be watching out for that. But that's just my feeling. I just don't think it would happen without it. So we are in the legend stage of the major. So this team made it through. So we are going to have legend stickers, skipping the challenger stage. So that's all amazing. We already got a step ahead. We're ready to go. We could have the old Cloud9 in complexity and the new Cloud9 potentially in the legend stage. How cool would that be to have the young kids that we knew would take 2 years to develop? 2 years later, boom, they're in the major already. Maybe they can hit the legend stage. So it'd be cool to see that, hey, Cloud9 invested in this team. It didn't end up working out because they saw an opportunity to shift to the Colossus. That didn't work. You could say hindsight, they shouldn't have made that move, just kept this roster and they would now have complexity. But they didn't do that. But it is cool to see that old roster of the kids that we loved and were rooting for. They're accomplishing real stuff. And I'm absolutely rooting for both of them to be in the legend stage. But for right now, Cloud9 is back. I truly can't believe it. I thought there was no way before the major. It's insane to see the Cloud9 logo on the PGL stuff. So be excited. There's no reason not to be excited. If there's any hesitation in you of excitement, just remove that, because we're in such a good position right now that you couldn't imagine building a team to be as good as the team is we have right now. Like when we were putting the Colossus together, if your hope was to have a really good team, you probably in your mind didn't think that you could have a team as good as the team that is now the one you're rooting for. So be excited. Maybe Cloud9 will have a NA Academy team. That's something that I know has been talked about, not officially by Cloud9 or anything, but I know that out there on Twitter, people say all the time about Academy. I know there's no Liquid EG Academy or whatever, but if they have a European team like this, maybe they'll have an Academy team. I don't know. We'll see. I think that could be something cool. Just depends on the budget. One thing I do think is there was a ton of backlash for the blockchain sponsor, just like there is for every single crypto sponsor. But without that sponsor, I feel pretty confident that we don't have a CSGO team. So be proud that they got sponsors. Your feelings on crypto or not, who cares? You don't have to buy crypto. You don't have to sell crypto. You don't have to even talk about crypto. But my guess is that they brought in enough money that Cloud9 was able to buy the CSGO team. I'm excited. We all should be excited. A ton of work for me to do ahead of us. I want to get out some cool stuff. My first video is planning on just being an introduction to the team, because I need one myself, and I think that there's probably a lot of people who do too. What do the players do? Where do they play? What's the team's style? Like, are they execute based? Are they field based? Are they like Alex, where they're just roaming all around pushing space? We've had two very different teams. And when JT was calling, it was very execute based. And then when Alex was calling, it was very field based, and see how much room Alex could get. So I think it'd be cool to have an intro video to talk about the team, what they look like, what the players do, what each of their roles are, etc. Kind of like I did for when the Colossus was signed, but this one will actually be able to have real tape, not just guesses. So this is amazing. I can't wait. I don't know when their next match is. I haven't even looked it up. I should. I really should have more information. I just hopped on and wanted to talk because you should be excited. Don't feel down. Let's go win some free